let's move to this story. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola is expected to make an announcement on whether Chris Hani's killer, Janusz Walus, will be released tomorrow. Today, the Tripartite Alliance demonstrated outside the Hosi Mampuru prison in Pretoria against his release. Of course, you'll remember that yesterday at about 4:30 in the afternoon, he was stabbed by a fellow inmate and he is recovering in the prison hospital. Let's get the latest from eNCA reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones, who joins me in studio. Pule, thank you so much for joining us. So, what have you been able to find out, first of all, on the health of Janusz Walus? Is he going to be okay?
Yeah, definitely. What we're establishing right now is that he is still in a stable condition, receiving the appropriate medical care to ensure that he is, taken well care of in terms of having that access to healthcare facilities. I mean, this is someone who's very old, I think 69 years of age. I stand to be corrected. But where we now getting it right as well is that the Department of Correctional Services actually says that the person or inmate who stabbed him is someone who had a very close relationship with Mr. Walus. I mean, they have been seen in various, areas within the prison holdings together, and of course sharing a laughter there. So the spokesperson of the Correctional Services Department and Justice as well says that these are two people who have been together for quite some time, and it took them by surprise when they actually found out that this is the alleged perpetrators behind the stabbing of Mr. Walus, because they couldn't find answers to how could he do this and why, what was the motive, the timing of it as well, quite importantly. So that's what we established today, and perhaps what we also got from the correctional services is that he was stabbed in the upper body, so multiple stab wounds, and there was a lot of blood on the floor as well. So it just shows you how severe this act was. But it was quite, important to also verify that this is not someone who is associated to the eNCA veterans, as we've heard from the leaked audio.
The big rumours last night.
Yes.
Correctional Services wasn't going to be drawn on that. So we'll get to that in a minute. I just want to listen to what Singamako Ngumalo is talking about regarding the imminent release of Walus. Let's take a listen.
The appropriate authority, being the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, will make his decision known to the country. So let us give him that opportunity at the right time. He will communicate.
And when will this be made?
The Minister will decide when to make that particular decision and communicate it.
So usually what is the process that has to be followed? It's the 10th day tomorrow. Does this mean he has to be released?
With LIFOS, it is the Minister who makes a decision. He will then communicate that decision to the department. Hence, we are saying at the right time, the appropriate authority, being the Minister, will make his intentions known.
All right, so Correctional Service being very careful on that.
They're keeping their cards close to the chest, saying the minister will make his decision known soon, and they're not telling us when, how. But very importantly, we should note that the minister here, kind of has not a lot of options in terms of this position, because if he does not, abide by the court order, he will be in contempt of a court order too, which was of course handed down by the Constitutional Court. So either way, based on technicality, probably maybe he is seeking legal advice, but he has to abide by the court order.
And I think what's interesting is that when a person is on parole, they're still under the protection of correctional services. So to release a man who may now be at risk in society would potentially be problematic. So one can understand why Correctional Services and the Department of Justice, I certainly haven't seen any response from them on when it's going to happen. You can perhaps understand their caution. Let's get back now to what you were alluding to earlier, and the fact that the way Janusz Walus is kept, he's kept in a unit with a few other men, and they have communal meals but separate cells for sleeping in, and this is someone who he knew. So has Correctional Services emphatically denied that this man who attacked him had any sort of military eNCA political links?
Yeah, they have denied it twice, in fact, because Yesterday they told my colleague Avuya Mdila the same thing. This afternoon we just wanted to get reassurance, and they're saying that this is not a person who was part of the eNCA, affiliates to the eNCA. However, this was a person who was a trainee in the SANDF before. But they're also saying that this is someone who was serving a sentence. I think he had committed a crime and murdered someone. So those are just the details we're getting. But perhaps let's just take a listen to the bites and hear what the spokesperson had to say.
The incident took us by surprise because the housing unit where Walus is kept, it's a unit of single cells, and they've known each other with this alleged perpetrator. They've spent quite a number of years there, and they've interacted. Hence, then we're all surprised that suddenly then we will have an incident of such a nature, because it took place in the afternoon at about 4:30 when they were queuing for dinner. Because how it works is that they're kept in single cells, but when it's dinner time, be it breakfast or lunch, they will then be released to go dish and go back and enjoy their meals in their cells. So when they were queuing for meals, that's when the incident took place.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way it's not, they don't have to make it public, and it might be more cautious to simply release him quietly to a place where they know he will be safe, because clearly there was a lot of anger on the streets today at those marches, with people saying this man should not be released on parole.
I think also what happened just, exacerbates the issue right now, because what we're getting from, according to media reports, the attorney, Julian Knights, representing Mr. Walus, has not confirmed as to whether they want residency when released on parole in the country. However, we do know that there may be a move to try and have him deported back to Poland, despite the Department of Home Affairs having said that they'll grant him the exception to have residency when on parole in the country.
Yeah, certainly a lot of it has to be established. And thank you very much for that update, eNCA. Pule Letshwiti-Jones there. All right, let's now